to That's What They Said, an educationally conversational podcast where we address all the things that aren't in the college brochure.
Episode 9.
9. Oh, wow. You really hit that.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was really clean.
Thank you.
Yeah.
McLean.
Oh. Podcast over. We're going to go just drop out and become comedians.
Yeah.
And maybe singers.
Yeah. No.
Okay, never mind.
No. I could.
Yeah.
You couldn't.
Oh.
I'm just joshing you.
Oh.
I'm just being
really
silly.
Okay.
Anyway.
Well, and I was being silly when I said you hit that note. So.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Right.
We go fight. You just hear like audio of us like screaming in the background. Anyways, guys, hope we're doing so well. Julia and I somehow both managed to start catching a little something.
It's not even catching. It's caught.
Well, we both caught a little something at the same time.
It's
So
really cool.
our voices are a little bit more in our manly state.
Yeah.
A little lower and raspier.
Hello.
And I feel like, although I won't even lie, like maybe this is like my half notes app that I'm going to just put at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I love what my voice sounds like when I'm kind of getting sick. Like,
Yeah, like a little rasp.
I love a little rasp.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I love having a low voice. Fun fact about me, which is actually, fun fact, little sad fact, is that I used to like voice train myself because I was so scared of like being considered too girly girl that I would like speak in a lower octave on purpose.
Really?
So now my voice is just a lot lower than like if I were to like.
What is it naturally?
Hey guys! Can you imagine? I don't know. I just like I taught myself to like talk more in the back of my throat. So like I don't know. Like so like when I do like my customer service, where it's like, "Hi guys, welcome into the restaurant. How can I help you?" Like that's it's a little higher, but like I always talk more in the back of my throat, so it's lower. Yeah. So then when I get sick, it like really enhances it. And I'm like, I'm so manly. Like I just like it's like the boyfriend ASMR rolling in the bed, but then also standing up. It's like those ones where they're like, "Hey babe, like gonna go ahead and roll over and grab me some water." Like I feel so like it makes me laugh. I can't. Anyways,
anyway, hi low buffalo.
Yeah.
I'll go first.
Okay.
Low, I'm sick.
Right.
And this sickness prevented me from attending my family Thanksgiving. But then I got to attend McLean family Thanksgiving.
Yay!
So that was slay. Bustastic. Big fan of the creamed corn. I like to do half a forkful of mashed potatoes and half a forkful of creamed corn. Yeah. And yeah.
Do you understand now?
Oh, I understand.
Like last week we were talking about the Thanksgiving foods, and I was very hyping up this creamed corn.
It's true.
Which many people apparently don't do creamed corn. In my social circle, it's just not a thing.
Well, because I got up to like get it, and Ian was right next to me. He was like, "What is that?" And I was like, "It's cream corn." And he was like, "What is that?" I was like, "It's corn and cream." And he's like, and he said, "Get a load of this. I like those things separate." Oh. And I said, "Oh,
that sounds like Ian."
I agree.
But, yeah,
I was scared.
Yeah, he's kind of like a proceed with caution type fellow.
Yeah, I know.
Love him though. Shout out Ian Drozier. Hope you're doing well.
Ian.
He used to make us not compete, but like fight about how to say his last name. He's like, "It's actually DeRosier." And I was like, "No, it's not."
Diva.
And he's like, "No, it's not." And I was like, "Okay."
Yeah.
He's like, "It's French though."
He wishes.
I was like,
"Girl, he does not look French." He does not look French.
Apparently, it's actually pronounced like some French way, but then he's like, "And then my family got to America and it was just too complicated, so they changed it to DeRosier."
Oh my god.
And I was like, "Right.
All right. Sure."
Anyhow, so low in Buffalo or high in Buffalo?
Low, yeah, was being sick. High was it was like a good weekend other than being sick. Like I had my sleepover on Friday and I had a really great time and it was so fun and it made me so happy. And then I had Thanksgiving and I got there and we sat and talked and then I took a nap on the couch and I came back and we talked some more and then we ate food and then we sat and talked and then I came home and I slept and it was so nice. And then my Buffalo is that now I posted this on my spam story.
If you're a real one, you know.
Yeah. But anyway, I had work last night, at the church with my youth group, my kids. There were like 20 of them there, which is like
a substantial amount.
Yeah. It's like we sometimes have like 25 to 30, but 20 is good. Anyway, so it was like question night and they all get to write questions about whatever they want and put it into a jar and then we like split middle school and high school and then talk about it. And I had the high schoolers, which is like I don't know. It's like low-key weird that I like get to like lead the group.
Right.
It's like weird. I don't know. But like I sat down and everybody was sitting on the couch being cozy and I was like, okay, like let's get started. So then I passed around the jar and everybody like asked a question and there were some really good questions. And those kids are really smart and mature. So I was impressed. There were a lot of questions about like are you this was T. They were like, are you pro or anti-ice? And it was like, starting off strong. Okay.
Let's debate this one.
Right. Like, and I had talked to my boss about, we knew this was going to come up because how could it not? It's such a prevalent issue. And like as Christians, we have a very clear stance on like how we treat our neighbors. And it's not the way that they're being treated right. Anyway, so there's questions like that. And then there are like dumb questions. Well, not dumb questions, but like questions that are like, who's your favorite musical artist? And then we go around and say like, whatever. Right. And then I got made fun of. And I was like, okay, guys.
This is a safe space.
Right.
Treat it as such.
Right.
That is not kind and loving of you.
But then I make fun of them back. Like, I make fun of them all the time, like 24/7. So then as they were leaving, it was like time to go. I like walked them out to the front where all their parents are, where they get in their cars and drive away. And all the high school boys dapped me up on their way out. Wow. And I was like, oh my God.
You've made it.
I did. Like, they never have done that before. But they were like, the first one came up and he was like, he like did his hand like that. I was like, oh, it's happening. And he was like, have a good Thanksgiving. And his brother came up and was like, like, see you soon or whatever. And then the next one came up and I was like, what is happening? Like,
you got a trade of daps.
Okay. I like felt so cool. And it was so great.
Like, initiated into the group.
I know. I'm like, it's only taken an entire semester, but I'm excited.
You cracked the code.
All right, because I'm going skiing with them in January. Right. Like an overnight trip, and I like wanted to be friends with them before that, But I think I finally gotten there. But also I'm nervous because I don't know how to ski, and I know they're gonna make fun of me because I'm gonna look stupid. But it's okay. That just made me like so happy I cried.
Oh,
I was like, oh my God, like
I made it.
They like me. Like, keep in mind these people are a year younger than I am.
Right. Oh, they're all 18?
Yeah.
Interesting. I thought they were 14.
No, it's middle schoolers, so like 11 and 12 all the way up to 18-year-olds.
Oh.
But like yesterday I was leading the group of like high schoolers.
Oh, so that you were getting 18-year-old daps.
Yes.
Low-key, I don't know if that's like more or
I
feel like if you get a 14-year-old or an 18-year-old, you've low-key made it.
Right.
Like in the sophomore junior age, it's like kind of cool to do that to a woman. I don't know. Like I feel like it's like a thing. But like when you're 14 or 18, they're either into you or you've made it. And I think you've made it.
Yeah, I hope they're not into me. I really hope not. That would be
I think
scary.
You've made it.
I think I've made it. I think
you've made it.
Because they don't know how old I am. They think I'm older. They think I'm like 23, 24. So
right. And also
chilling.
like per the environment.
Right.
I also feel like if it was like if they liked you, they would have dapped you up way sooner. That would have been like
true.
a day 3
That's
thing,
true.
like a week 3. This is like
this is like week 8,000. Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, that's why Hello Buffalo. Your turn.
10 minutes later.
Oh.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. My low is also that I am feeling a little something coming on. Hopefully by the time that this comes out, it's gone.
It better be.
Usually I can get through sickness in 4 days, so that's kind of where I'm at. Tomorrow is in theory going to be my worst day.
Okay.
It's either like it's like either really bad for like 4 days or it's like okay sickness for like 7. So I'm hoping it's just we can like bang this one out.
Yeah. Well, that's how I measure my periods. I'm like, okay, on this day it'll be the worst, and then
The problem is super long conversation for another time. Is mine are so unpredictable, even on birth control, that I kind of just like go with the wind, and I can never do that.
Mine are usually predictable, except that one time that I bled out in front of my class.
I do remember that.
Did I share that on the podcast?
You have not.
Can I share that?
Yeah, go ahead. I'll share it for you.
Oh.
Can you imagine?
That's your low.
Yeah. My low is for Julia.
Guys, a few weeks ago I was giving a presentation in my Theories of Globalization seminar, and fantastic class, you should take it. Anyway, I was giving a presentation, and my class sits in like a half circle around the room, so like it's just me in front of all these people, and there's like nothing in front of me, whatever. And I'm giving this presentation, and then I can feel my period occur, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Hey.
And I was a 75-minute long presentation, and I had 10 minutes left, and I was like, come on, like, can I just like lock in? So I like crossed my legs and bent over, and I was like, okay, guys, like let's and I was like finishing it. And then I went to the bathroom after, and you could fully see from the front, and I was like, so it was like gunshot level, like No, it was.
I recall.
Yeah, because I went to the library after, and you were there.
And I do remember being like, it can't be that bad, right? Like usually,
and I walked up and you could see it.
Yeah,
it was like they had to have watched the blood spread across my pants. Like So that was really humbling, but I didn't go to that class for a few days, but then I went back, and the next time I went back, I did do another presentation, so that was really crazy, but it went well, and I didn't bleed in front of anyone, so just had to share that.
A quick win.
Right. Just, anyway, continue on.
Rise up. So my hello Buffalo, yes. My lows, I am low-key getting sick, and one of my most irrational fears, well, maybe not irrational, it's kind of rational, I would say, is like when you can't breathe through your nose. Anytime that I can't breathe through my nose and I have to breathe through my mouth, I like literally freak out.
Yeah, it's like claustrophobia.
Yeah, I don't know why, because I'm still getting air. I'm not really sure how that. I feel like I'm getting less air, even though it's more surface that I'm like, inhaling. Like, I don't even know.
No, but I get what you mean.
Yeah, so every time I get sick and I like can't breathe through my nose, I literally have an anxiety attack, which obviously makes it worse. And so then I like can't breathe period, like at all. Like there's just no air coming in and out, and then that just makes it worse. It's a whole thing. So I'm like hoping that we don't get to that. I've already like pre-started on the vitamin C and Mucinex, so we're like feeling okay now.
I need to get some of that vitamin C.
Yeah, last night I actually got an okay amount of sleep. Like I went to bed at like 10 o'clock or like 10:30 or something, and then I woke up at 7 today, but I definitely was in and out of sleep. I'm also like almost out of melatonin, so I'm rationing it. So there's just a lot of things at play. My high is my weekend. So a quick recap. Friday, I helped my family prep for Thanksgiving. We're not doing Thanksgiving on Thanksgiving this year because my mom's a nurse. Shout out the healthcare system. So she's working all of like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So it's off the table. So I helped prep, and I love prepping for Thanksgiving. I think it's fun. I love cooking. It's my whole shebang. So that was really fun. And then me and my dad went to the NC State Florida State game, the football game, which was super cool. So my dad's birthday is November 14th. And for his birthday, my mom talked to her friend's fiance who works in the athletics and got him tickets.
Yes.
And I went with him because I love sports. And so we got really good seats. We were like right behind the field, like the post. But like just to the side of it so we could still see everything. We wasn't like blocked by it.
Yeah.
So it was really good view. And then we also got invited up to go on like the platform where like the buffet is and like the tents with like the food, which is so cool. Anytime I get like any like something of some sort of VIP like experience, like obviously that's not normal. So I was like,
yeah.
And I was like, I need to network with every single person here, like because a lot of those people are like donors for like the Wolfpack Club and like athletics and stuff. So I was like, I gotta befriend every single person here. Like I gotta pull up my LinkedIn. I didn't talk to one person, but I did get a foot-long hot dog, and that was and they had like unlimited free sodas. So I did have like 3 Diet Cokes that night.
Yes,
it was a time to be alive. And they had like chicken and garlic mashed potatoes and like chili for the hot dog and cookies and Oreos and like a bar. And I was like, good Lord. And then we won the game, which I was not even expecting because I've been so mad at our football team recently. But they actually pulled out the win, which was crazy. And it was like a good and interesting game. So that was really fun. A very late night, though. Then we had our Thanksgiving on Saturday, which was super fun. It went very well. And then I think I went back to my apartment. I don't really remember what happened on Saturday.
You were going to watch SNL.
Oh, yes. I like had to go to Food Line, and then I didn't end up watching SNL. Long story. And then Sunday, me and Julia had brunch. It was bus.
It was bus, and I had a gift card, so it was free,
including the tip. She was like, "You can even tip on the gift card." And we were like, "Girl, don't play,
girl."
Like, so that was really
actually
fun.
so good.
Yeah.
It was at this like vegetarian restaurant.
Irregardless.
Yeah, Irregardless. It was so good. I brought home my like leftovers. You know, I had an entire half a burrito, and like I ate it about an hour later. Yeah. I was like, I could save this for another meal. No. But you still have money on that gift card though. Yeah.
And then I went and saw 2 of my friends, and we watched Central Intelligence. It's this movie with Kevin Hart and The Rock, but it's like one of their first movies they ever did in like 2016 or something.
I don't know that movie.
It's like, the premise is really weird. It's just like about how The Rock in high school was like super lame and bullied a lot, and then Kevin Hart's character was like the popular kid, and then like one time they like bullied Kevin Hart, or The Rock's character, and Kevin's Hart character helped him out, and then like 20 years later they don't see each other again until apparently The Rock is involved in some like, he's a CSI agent and doing some undercover like mission stuff and needs Kevin Hart's character's help because he's an accountant, and they need to hack into some like forensic account, and then like it's also Kevin Hart's character on like finding who he is because he thought he peaked in high. I don't even know. It made literally no sense.
Okay.
Like it made sense, but I was like, who sat in the like room and was like, guys, picture this vision. Bless you. ASMR sneeze. But I was like, who was sitting in the boardroom? I was like, guys, what if? Hear me out. I was like, Okay.
Okay.
We scrapbooked a little bit. Then we went to Sonic. Cherry limeade and mozzarella sticks from Sonic have my heart. But I've also been loving the Heath and Brownie Concrete from Sonic. Been eating that. One of my favorite things in this world is the Sonic whipped cream. It's anyhow. And then I went back to my apartment and I just like stared at a wall. So that was really cool.
Yes.
Anyhow, that was my weekend. So that was a high. My Buffalo is that I got a really good parking spot today
Slay.
in the West Deck.
Okay.
It was like right where the entrance is.
Oh,
I
slay.
was like, ugh, thank God.
Buzz.
So anyhow, to move on to the actual content of today's episode, like 10 minutes, 20 minutes later. Today, the lioness does not concern themselves with exams.
It's true. It's actually a lie.
It's, you know, it's
We're always concerned about everything.
24/7, 365.
Yep.
So yes, final exams. This will be coming out the week before final exams start.
So this week.
So this week, this is correct, in 5 days. My bach. What is your final exam situation looking like?
Yeah, so we're going to be going in with I have my stats final at 8:30 in the morning.
Correct.
We have it at the same time.
Correct.
Going to need to source a calculator for that.
Yep.
And then I have my supply chain exam that afternoon.
Mm-hmm. And this is on Friday, right?
You are correct.
Okay.
And then I have my HR exam on the last day of exams.
Correct.
Which is a Wednesday of the next week. But it's online, so I'll be going home the weekend before, and I'll just take it. Because that was like open note, open book, open brain, like, you know.
Yeah. I get the vibe.
Actively dissecting my brain, you know. But those are my three, like, oh, wait, and I have my exam for my dance class is, like, the Tuesday of like the Tuesday, like, December 2nd or whatever.
Oh, like the last day of classes before exams?
Yeah, but it's online, so it's, like, I've already had my last dance class, which is low-key sad because I love those girls. They're so sweet. Did I tell you I have an interview with Hitachi on Tuesday?
You did.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Because one of my dance class friends works at Hitachi, and he was like, "They want you," and I was like, "Oh, everybody wants me so bad."
It's so hard. Like they want me
so then I applied,
bad.
and they actually did one talk, and I was like,
That's
"Wait,
crazy.
Wait,
guys,
you're actually right." So those are my like final exams, and then my projects. I have a final project for my Islam class, which is due the last day of exams, but it's gonna be a podcast, and I'm filming it today, so I can turn it in like 3 days from now.
Yeah.
And then I have a final paper. It's like 10 pages. For my Theories of Globalization class, but I already have like the entire outline and like all that, like all my sources of all that stuff. So I just have to write it. Yeah. Which honestly, it does not take me long to write a paper, so I could sit down and be done in like 3-4 hours. Yeah, that's my final exam situation.
Yeah. Mine is like not horrible. As we know, I've said many times because I don't ever stop talking about it.
Right.
I'm taking 7 classes. So, you know, there's a few exams that I have to take. I have one exam on Thursday. So our last day of class is Tuesday. We get one reading day, which I also think is ludicrous, but whatever.
One reading day for like that many exams is like, okay, girl,
whatever.
Be sober for real.
It's fine. See if I care. So Thursday I have one exam at like 8:30 in the morning. It's my microeconomics exam.
Ooh, stink.
And then Friday I have 2 exams. Our stats exam at 8:30 on Friday, and then my marketing exam at like 4:30.
Oh, but that should be okay.
Yeah, we get 4 pages front and back. So like I'm not really gonna study.
Is it cumulative?
No.
Oh.
But like low-key I've only been getting like mid-80s on all of them. But it's fine. They only count for like 10% of my grade. It's fine. And then my last exam is Monday. I have my weather and climate one, which I think that's the one I'm most worried about. I just need to get better than a 75 on it, though, and I should be okay.
You can do that.
I'm hoping to get like an 85. That's like all I really care about. But we'll see how that works out for me. And then I have to do my entrepreneurship class I have to do a exam and I have a pitch due. I have to do but it's like an online open book.
Okay. Yeah.
40 questions or something that I can take whenever. And then I have we've been like spending all this semester like developing a product and going through like the different business steps. So we have to do like a 2-minute pitch about it that we submit. And then I have to do for my professional development class on Tuesday, that before exams start, I have a virtual or like a mock interview and like refreshing thing. Yeah.
Isn't that the LinkedIn one?
No, it's for
Don't you do? Because I took that class with the same professor, and our like mock interview was on LinkedIn.
Oh,
it was with AI.
Oh, we're doing it through this like new system that she's using for the first time. It's like, you know, like for like interviews, how sometimes they'll just like have it ask you a prompt and you get like one take and you respond to it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that, but it's like there's this like AI person on the screen who looks real.
Oh, my
and
gosh.
like you just have like a basic like conversation with them. So they'll like tell us about a time when blank, tell us a time when blank, and you just like do it. And then, but it like will assess your background and it'll assess what you're wearing and like.
Oh my god.
But she's not grading us on what the AI score gives us just because they haven't
tested it out.
They've tested it, but she's like, I don't want to like
trust it
because it's my first time using it.
Good
so
for her.
We have to do like a reflection on it and like what we scored and why we thought and what we would have blah, 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 and that's what we'll get graded on for the most part.
Yeah.
And as long as we do the AI thing, it'll be fine. So
yeah.
Anyhow, all of that to say is I think those are all of my exams. My lab is done. Praise the Lord. I am so done. I'm going to Jordan Hall at 5:20 until 6 o'clock every single freaking Thursday. My stats class, don't have to go anymore. Don't have to do a single more stats homework. Thank God.
Okay, those last homeworks were like, girl, be so for real. Because I open it and it's like, oh, only 3 questions. And then every question has A through F.
17 parts.
And then for each letter, there's going to be at least 5 parts. So there's like, okay, girl, be so for real. I almost
threw my computer more than one time in class. Like, I was so angry.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
Anyway.
I'm fine. See if I care. With this in mind, what is your strat? Like, what's your plan going into it? Or are you just going to wing it?
I don't know. I like have gotten all my like homeworks done.
Yeah.
Well, I have one more essay to write for my Islam class, which, by the way, I turned in an essay a couple weeks ago, and he finally gave me my grade back, and I got an 89, and I was like, what? Because on all the other ones, I've gotten 98s, and I was like, what the freak? But also, I knew it was not my best work, so I turned it in like 5 minutes before it was due, so well. You know, you can't win them all. Anyway, so I finished all my homework for the most part, and I'm gonna finish all my like final projects and my final paper, like hopefully this week or like before like the last day of class, so then I can just focus on my exams. And I think reading day, and then which is Wednesday, right?
Yes. Reading
day, and then Thursday I'm just gonna be locked in on supply chain and stats.
Yeah.
Because those are my only like hard ones.
Yeah.
Like for my stats exam, like I actually have to like. Yeah. You know, because when we get to the part about horror stories, I'll let you know about that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I'm just I have a good system on my supply chain exam that worked well for the last exam. It's like the exams are more on the like concept like stuff rather than like the math of supply chain, which is like slay because I don't get the math. But that's, like, my fault because I don't really pay attention. So,
what?
But, like, what? Shocker.
No.
No.
Julia, never.
Oh, my God. No. Never. Anyway, so I do a lot of Quizlets and flashcards. I'm a big fan because somebody out there made them for that class, like, for all the exams. And I said, I love you, whoever you are.
Thank you.
You have given me life. Anyway, so I do that for, like, a few hours, studying, like, the concepts and stuff. And then I, like, work through some of the homework problems. He like gives us like a list of problems that he's like, these could potentially maybe
if I were the exam, I would say that.
I might say, hey. So I like do some of those and I like try to figure them out, but mostly I focus on the concepts. And then that usually works. I can get about like an 80 by doing that. Yeah. So that should like be an okay grade for that like exam. And then for the stats exam,
we're going to try a new strat.
New strat.
Of studying with Kieran.
Yes, this is true.
And Hunter.
And which I'm hoping will go well because you guys kind of understand what we're doing. Because you've taken stats before.
So I took AP stats in high school.
Right.
And a lot of the stuff we're doing in stats right now is just very similar to AP stats.
Yeah.
So I like somewhat understand it, but what I've kind of figured out is the stats class is just calculator functions.
Yeah.
So all you really need to do is just figure out what words mean what calculator functions.
This is true.
And once you do that, you're set.
Yeah.
Because historically, math has been actually my worst subject. I was always sucked at math. Not because I I like understood it, but my biggest thing like growing up is I never understood why we had to do it.
Right.
So then I was always like mad at it. I was like, I don't understand. I was like, but why? Like I don't understand why this does this. Like why? Like 1 + 1 = 2. Sure, but why? Like who decided this? Like why are we trusting that? Like so then I would just like whatever. And then in high school I had like so many teachers who were like, I just graduated, but I barely passed. So we're gonna learn this together. And then everybody like got like an F, and I was like, oh, are you okay? That was humbling. But I've been doing really well in college because I've been really like locking in.
Yeah.
So for stats, what I usually do is I study the night before the exam for like 5 hours in the library.
Classic.
And then an hour before the exam, I'll go sit in the coffee shop and go over all the problems on the practice test. And like any of the ones that I like somewhat struggled with or like needed to do a second time, I'll do them again. And then I'll go through all the ones that I thought I knew. And then I usually do like an hour and a half before my exam. And then
I love that coffee shop.
I go in, not Jubilant. What did I say?
3, 2, 1.
3, 2, 1. Okay. I don't know where I'm at.
3, 2, 1, 5, 6, 7, 8. WKNC, ABC.
Like easy as 1, 2, 3. Yeah. So let's see what my game plan is. I think I'm gonna study for my micro exam on Wednesday.
Okay.
Because here's the thing: is she doesn't put up practice. Like she puts up practice questions, but it's like, so our final is cumulative. It's like, it's 100 questions. Which I was like, you have to be so for real. So I'm pretty sure it's just like 30 questions from the first exam, 30 questions from the second exam, and 30 questions from the last one, or like 33 or whatever. Which I was like, oh my good God.
Yeah.
But she doesn't do like practice problems. The study guides are just like 20 questions, and then I like know all the answers to them. So then I'm like, okay, I'm set. And then I go in and take the exam, and I get like an 86 on it. And I'm like, right. So I guess I'm not that set. I don't.
Right.
Okay. So I'm not really sure how that's gonna go for me because I don't know how to practice it if I know how to do the study guide, but it's only 16 questions.
Yeah.
For a 100 question exam, like what? What am I supposed to do with that?
Right.
So we'll see how that goes. My stats one, I'm just gonna sit in the library for 5 hours and hope. Yeah. Because it usually takes 5 hours to get through the 40 questions. Whatever. See if I care. My marketing one should be fine. I'm just going to just put our notes onto Google or a piece of paper, and then I'll highlight the important things. And as long as I just like get like an 80 something, I don't really care that much. Yeah. And then my weather and climate one, I'm low key scared for. That one, I'm thinking of buying a whiteboard.
Wow.
And or finding one somewhere.
Right.
I don't know. Or maybe getting like a shower curtain or something.
Yeah, I saw get a clear shower curtain and tape it on the wall.
That's what my roommate did. She bought shower curtains, and so she was studying for her anatomy exam, and she had like a literal like whole like all of her walls were covered in it. And I was like, good God.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll do that. I haven't decided yet. Well, because here's my thing. Never trust the library.
No.
Finding a study spot is absolute war. You think class registration is war? Try and find somewhere to study during finals week. War. The entire time you're on campus, I feel like you'll never really understand that there's 40,000 people until it's finals week. All of a sudden, everyone is everywhere all at once.
And I was in Tally this morning getting my coffee and my breakfast, and there are people asleep in the booths because they were there all night. And
yes.
Like,
people sleeping in the library is a real thing. Like, people are asleep there overnight. Like, it's a thing. And I, like, knew it was a thing, but, like, it's a thing. Like,
and if you go to Centennial, they, like, do that all the time. Like, they'll stay up, like, all night and, like, see the sunrise. It's, like,
and that's crazy because I would never do that.
Oh, no. I, like, one thing about me is right here, it says sleep goes out the window. For me, it does not. I always prioritize my sleep. Yeah, I mean, as we know, I go to bed, like, somewhere between 9 and 10 every night. Because if I don't, then I'm grumpy. Like, today I'm grumpy because I didn't sleep good last night. Yeah. So, like, I, like, must sleep or else I will fail my exams. Mm-hmm. Like, because I'll just be in a bad mood.
I usually try and keep my routines the same.
Yeah.
For the most part. But, like, everything, usually my amount of sleep is the same. It's just when I go to sleep. That might be different. As long as I get the same amount of time, usually I'm okay. Yeah. Because usually I'm going to bed from, like, 12 and then waking up, like, 11 to 7 or, like, 12 to 8 or, like, somewhere in that range. So I'm still getting, like, 8 hours. So even if I go to bed at, like, 1, as long as I'm waking up at 9, like, it's fine. Or, like, 7, like, as long as I'm getting at least, like, 6 hours, it's fine.
Yeah.
One of the things that I have on here is ice cream is on tap, and I live by that. During finals last year, like, I was literally, like, there's a photo of me during finals week with, like, 7 cups of the Howling Cow ice cream in my arms.
Yeah.
Like, they wasn't all for me. It was just like they were handing it out, so I took 7 of them. And then they sat in my freezer and they were gone within a week.
Right.
You can do the math. So yeah, it's a trying time. Like you kind of just like, I also put social etiquette goes out the door. Like I'm wearing the same outfit for 3 days. Like I have my final sweatpants and that's all I'm saying about that. Like
right.
I have to get ready. I feel like, or else I like don't feel like a real human. Like I need to have some level of like decency in my life. And so I like try and at least just put on like an outfit.
No,
but it's a 50-50 whether that outfit consists of sweatpants or yoga pants. Like you'll never see me in a pair of jeans during finals week.
Well, one thing about me is I feel more like confident when I like do spend a lot of time getting ready, like on like days when like final exams. Like I remember one year when I was at UNCW, I was about to take my microeconomics final, and I hadn't studied very much.
Right.
I did fine, but I I got up early that morning and I was like, I'm gonna study. Like I got like super early. Yeah. Instead, I spent like 2 hours curling my hair and doing a full on blowout, a full face of makeup. Right. Showed up, hadn't studied. Yeah. And I slayed. Like I like so like that bit of confidence that I get is like more valuable, like grade wise than the extra like 2 hours studying.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you an opposite story of that. This was my first horror story. We have a section of horror and success stories.
It's really
They're
scary.
mainly just horror stories. This is my favorite one. And it's called Kieran wakes up 30 minutes into her calc final.
Now tell me about that.
Picture this. This was last year when I still lived in the dorms, right? And so me and my roommate at this point, because it's still fall semester, we like were friends enough that we were like waking each other up if we knew the other person. We were pretty like familiar with each other's schedule, so usually we knew or would have told each other like, I'm just not gonna go to class tomorrow. Like I don't care. Or sometimes we'd wake each other up and be like, oh, I'm not going. Or it's like, oh shoot, thank you for like getting me up, like whatever. So I have this calc final, and I'm like, or I think this is when I was taking pre-calc. They're not gonna shame me for taking pre-calc and the calc, but I was taking pre-calc, and this was like, I had like an A in the class, but it was, or like an A minus. And so it like kind of mattered what I did because I just wanted an A. I was like, I don't really care where in that I fall as long as it's like, well. And I had studied a bunch. I like went to bed at like 9 p.m. I was like, this is going to be great. I'm going to get up at like 7, do a little like hour long of review and then hit it down. It'll be great. My exam started at 8:30. 9:30, my roommate is shaking me awake.
Oh.
She's shaking me awake. And so I like get up, I'm like, what? Like, what is going on? She's like, don't you have an exam right now? And I was like, I shoot up. Like, if I, like, you know, like in animation movies when they like fly 7 feet in the air and come back down, that was me. Like, I actually went up and probably almost hit the ceiling. And I look at my phone, it's 9:30. My exam started an hour ago.
That is so
My exam started at 8:30. As at 11:30, I woke up at 9:30. And so this, I think, was also one of my first exams. So, like, as a freshman who's never taken a college exam before, you know. Yeah. So I think I'm wearing, if I recall my outfit correctly, pajama shorts that were like a size too big for me, a tank top, a flannel that wasn't mine. I don't remember whose it was. It wasn't mine though. And it wasn't my roommate's. I think it was actually my friend Brady's. I think he'd given it to me because I forgot to bring a jacket when I was walking back to his dorm and I was cold, so I stole it. So I'm wearing that, a tank top, shorts that are too big, and socks that are not the same socks. Like one of them is shorter than the other. My hair is like, I think I slept in a bun, so it was like all sorts of everything. Yeah. And slippers, but not slippers that have the backs on them, like slippers that are meant for like walking like 7 steps at most. Right. And I just grab my keys, a pencil, and a calculator, and I just run out the door. Yeah. And I start like speed walking.
What building was your exam in?
I was in Welch, and my exam was in SAS. Oh. So it wasn't that, or awful. No, it was in Park Shops. That's where it was. It was in Park Shops. So it's not. It's not far. Like, it was like... It
could have been worse.
It could have been so much worse. And so I'm, like, speed walking. I'm on the phone with my mom. She's like, hey, sweetie, good luck on your exam today. I was like, Mom, my exam started an hour ago. I just woke up. I don't know what happened. Like, she's like, oh, my God, you gotta go. And I was like, I know. Like, I was like, I'm gonna fail. Like, I don't even know what to do. She's like, just go. Like, take a breath. It's gonna be fine. And, like, this professor I knew because she was also my neighbor growing up. So I, like, walk in looking all sorts of everything. Because also, picture this, it's like December, so it's cold. So I'm freezing in my shorts. And so I like get there and I was like, everyone's taking their exam. They all look at me. And I'm like, we all know what's happening right now. Yeah. And she walks up, she's like, girl, I was about to call you. Like, I thought you weren't coming. And I was like, no, I just woke up. She's like, it's okay. like, it's fine. Like, go sit. She, like, gets me a seat, and I literally sit there, and I just, like, stare blankly for, like, 10 minutes, because I'm like, I don't even know how to spell my name. Yeah. Like, it literally took me 2 minutes to write down my name because I couldn't figure it out. Like, I was so, like, gone. I was so, like, I'm so cooked. Ended up getting, I think, an 89 on that.
Okay.
Not sure how I pulled that off.
Slay.
But also at one point she came up to me and she's like, are you okay? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I can't remember anything. Like, I'm just so... She's like, well, if I were you, I would look at options B and C. And I said, okay, I can do that.
I would explore options B and C.
And I said, right, so are you thinking more like option C I should put some more focus on, or B? And we kind of, like, tag teamed our way there.
Right.
But I got an 89.
Okay. Slay.
So it was fine, but I have never, like, the fear of God has put in me. Like, I have, like, since then, I think I have so much stress about that I wake up, like, an hour and a half before my exams just because, like, I
like to camp outside my exams for at least an hour before they start, just in case.
I just can't. I need to be within, like, a 10-step radius of my exam an hour before it starts. Just for some reason, the professor decided randomly to start the exam an hour earlier. Right. It has never once happened, but, you know.
Yeah. Let me tell you about my recent horror stories. When I this was on our last stats exam. I studied for hours and hours. Yeah. Nearing the mark of 12 hours I studied for this. Yeah. And I get to the exam and I say, okay. And I sit down. It was in Delta, right? Yes. So I, like, wasn't in a classroom. I was all alone.
Delta has seen me at so many points in life.
Oh, it's... those poor people.
Anyhow.
Like, anyway, I sat down and I started this exam, and I took the entire time, which was already a scary thought. Like, I, like, almost did not answer all the questions on the last two. I just clicked random answers. I was like, okay. I turned it in. I look at my grade. I say, oh, okay. I was like, I felt like I got at least a 60. Like, you know, and that's like, at least I got a 33. I got a 33.
I do remember you messaging about that. And you're like, that exam just, like, freaked me up the butt. Like,
yes, that is exactly what I said. Yes, because it did, and it did in a bad way.
Yeah, in a bad way. I have a similar story to this, actually.
Speak your truth.
Last fall, the same time I'm taking pre-calc, I was taking anthropology, which as a freshman, don't ever take anthropology. I was recently talking to someone, I don't remember who it was, about my first semester schedule, and I was like, yeah, I took nutrition and pre-calc and anthropology and this, and they're like, you took that as a freshman? Yeah. I was like, yeah. They're like, why would you have ever done that? And I was like, because I didn't have an advisor.
I didn't know.
So I was taking anthropology. In that class, like, I, like, didn't know what I was going to do because I didn't really understand how classes work. So I was just like, yeah, sure, I'll take anthropology accounts or something. So why not? And I did so bad in that class. Got an F on every single exam, which was crazy because in high school I was low-key a goody two-shoes. So I had, like, never gone below, like, a 95 in a class in my life, except for chemistry. I got a 90 in that, and I thought my life was over.
Awful.
Or I got an 89 or something like that. So that was really humbling for me. But then I got to the final, and I was like, okay, like, I need to low-key log in. Like, I just need to finish with a B of some variety. Because we also had, like, a couple projects that I did really well on. Like, I got 100s on those, so that's what was, like, saving me. And I, like, studied for 20 hours. I kid you not. Like, that's not even an exaggeration. I put in 20 hours. Like, there was multiple days for hours at a time. Like, people saw me outside of work because I just, like, was in different places around campus just, like, studying for this anthropology exam. Yep. And I went in and I took it, and then I got an F. It was actually, like, one of my worst ones, too, I think. I actually think I got, like, a 59 or something, like, or a 58 on it. Yeah. And I was like, what?
It, like, does not make any sense sometimes.
And I remember just walking out, just, like, staring at the world. I was like, I don't even know where I go from here. I finished the class with, like, a B- or a B or something like that. So, like, it was fine. Like, it ended up being fine. But I was just like, what? Like, what is life? Like, I don't even, like, why did I put all this work in? And I did everything right. And I did all the things you're supposed to do. And somehow.
Yeah. Sometimes there's no winning. But then somehow, like, I feel like a lot of professors drop grades at the end of the semester and, like, or, like, replace. Like, if you, like, do better on your final, they like, replace blah, blah, blah. And sometimes that, like, actually saves me. Like, somehow my grade will go up, like, 10 points. And I'm like, wait, okay, I'm passing.
Me when I'm intelligent?
Wait. My last HR exam brought my grade up 10 points. Like, genuinely. God. Yeah, I, like, turned it in and I was like, wait. Wait.
I love that. My other end of the spectrum, though, of like a success story that I want to share is in my legacy of lynching class that I took last spring.
Good memories.
I actually loved that class. I've talked about it before, and I'll say it again. I love that class. It was a 495 level class. Why I was only 5 away from a grad level course, I don't know, but whatever. I got 100 in it. Our final was not an exam, but to write a 3,000 word essay on a topic related to lynching of our choice. And let me tell you this, there wasn't much in the way of a rubric except for that it had to have 20 sources. And like the sources were like specific. We had like 5 newspapers, 3 primary, 2 secondary, like it was all like laid out for us on the sources, and then we just had to write about something. And so I remember like sitting in Jubala for like hours, just like literally staring at my screen because I was like, what the freak do I do? Like, I've never had to and I had no guidelines, and I was stressing out. But the saving grace about it was that our professor was like, you can turn in your draft. Bless you. Sneeze count like 4.
That's only 2. So that's only 2.
Oh, I forgot the coughs was what I was counting.
Damn. I mean, dang.
Oh my gosh, what's your language? So we could turn in our drafts. And so I remember getting finally to the 3,000 words. I'm like in the car driving to Florida. And I finally submit it, and I open up for feedback, and he's like, hey, you should like low-key reread the whole thing.
Right.
And I rage quit. I was like screaming in the car. I was like, we have to be so serious right now. Like, I put so much freaking work into this. Like, because it was like 13 pages, like, or closer to 20. Like, I was like so angry. And so I like click on all that. There's like 100 edits. And most of them are just grammar because I can't spell to save my life.
Right.
And so I like fix it all, and I send it back to him, and he's like, all right. Sounds good. And I was like, what do you mean sounds good? Like, sounds good like an A? Sounds good like a B? Sounds good what? I got a 100 on it.
Yep.
And I remember physically jumping. And I was like, oh my God. And I was like, someone needs to publish this. Like, I'm an acclaimed author. Like, that was crazy.
Love.
Still one of my favorite classes, though. That's my one success story, I feel like.
My success stories are kind of similar. One of my, like, genuinely greatest talents academically is that I can write up to 10 pages. Actually, one time I wrote 18 pages on something I have not read. And I took a class at UNCW. I think it was just gender and sexuality, which is a really interesting class. I loved it. But we had like our final grade was like this like book review situation, and I read in quotations a book. I said I was going to read a book on hookup culture and on like American college campuses. I didn't read it. 18 pages, 100.
Wow.
And then in my history class that same semester, we had to write 5-page papers. Like we had to write like 5 or 6 of them throughout the semester on like old plays, like historical, like the Odyssey and all that stuff. And I got A's on all those papers, and I didn't read any of the plays or the books. And I can also, like, one of my classes, my global capitalism and its discontents I took with Frank. We had to do like discussion posts every week, and they had to be like 2 pages long, and I never read any of the articles, and I got 100s on all of them.
Oh my God, you are SparkNote.
I don't know. It's like, one thing about me is I can like, what do you call it? What, like is there
philosophical?
No. I can like
philosophize.
Is that a word? Philosophize.
Well, what's the rest of the sentence? Then I can
philosophize my way into I can philosophize like 8 pages. Like that have like
you could just take the main themes from the first 10 and like apply it to the rest.
Yeah, like I can like connect things that like make no sense, but I can connect them in a way that does make sense, in a way that I know my professor will receive.
You can philosophically connect the themes.
Yeah, and I enjoy doing that. It's like a puzzle to me. And being like, okay, my professor like uses these words all the time, so if I can connect the use of these words in like my daily life to like
it'll show that you're understanding.
Yeah. So that's kind of where it comes in. But that's why I wrote down, I love those exams that are like, you know, those blue books.
Yeah.
And just the exam is just you have to like write 3 essays in 2 hours.
Yeah.
I had one of my classes 2 semesters ago was one of my religious studies classes. Like, I think it was just religion in the modern world or something, but it was all about Christianity. Shocker. NC State class about Christianity.
What?
But but all the exams were like write 3 essays in 2 hours in this blue book, and I like use like multiple blue books every time.
Yeah.
Like, wow. But I love those exams, like, and you could have no notes or anything, but you still had to use quotes and references, so you had to memorize them to use in your essays, which is like, that's actually tea. But I got all A's on those exams. So
that's how I felt when I was taking A-Push and AP Lang. I like struggle with history a lot, not just because like I find it really boring, because it's usually the same like 7 topics talked about for 12 years straight.
Yes.
Which is why I loved my lynching class so much, because it was finally something that was like real. But anyways, or not real. Obviously, all history is real, but like different. And so when there's like the multiple choice and then the essay question. So I was like watching so much like whatever, trying to just hope my way through the multiple choice questions. And then on the long answer one, which is like the most important, so like, as long as you did well on that, you were usually like okay. I don't remember what the topic was, but it was something around like symbolism to like how North America changes or whatever, and I connected the Pledge of Allegiance to it.
Okay.
And like I simplified something like our changing who we were to be one, like we're united together, like we're one nation under, like we're individual, like in justice for all. And I like connect, and I remember writing that, and I was like, oh my god, like if I could mic drop right now, like y'all aren't even ready to read this. I got a 3, but I passed it, whatever. But I also did that on my AP Lang one, because the question was somewhat similar, and I was like, oh my god, I was like, I just wrote about this. So I was like bringing in historical facts, and I was bringing, because I like just wrote about it the day before. And I remember like I was like, oh my god, like somebody give me an extra piece of paper. You're like I need to be published. Like I just ate down. I only got like a 4, but like,
wait,
it's fine.
This is kind of, you saying you need an extra piece of paper is kind of reminding me of when I was in like 4th grade. Our like math teacher is like, okay guys, you can ask for as much paper as you want, like write as big as you want, like you don't need to like, you know, save paper, like whatever helps you do as good as you can. And so I genuinely recall an entire sheet of like printer paper sitting in front of me, taking my pencil. I write one singular like long division problem covering the entire piece of paper. I solve the problem. I say, I need another piece of paper. I like would solve one problem every day, because I used to take things very literally. And I still low-key do, but like,
oops.
Yeah, but that just slayed me. I forgot that I had done that. Like there's like a stack of papers here with one problem on each of them. Oh my gosh,
that is so funny.
Anyway, we should probably do Notes app now.
What time are we at?
47 minutes.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to say like my one like piece of advice for finals, my quick philosophy. One. Well, also I just wanted to say like I feel like studying is so freaking whatever, because I was never taught how to study in high school.
Well, this is what it says. Was never taught how to study till college and had to figure it out and flop majorly. - Julia still hasn't figured it out. Bach. - neither has Kieran.
Yeah, I never, like, I always usually wait till the day before to study, not because I like procrastinate, but because I'll never remember it.
It'll stick in your head better.
Yeah, I just need to do it the night before, like right before. Yeah. It's a cram and dump situation, which is not good, but that's just how I do best. But I never figured out how to study it until I got to college, because in high school, everything came pretty naturally to me.
Right.
I would study here and there, but it was like 20 minutes of me just like going through vocab terms or like something like that. And then in college, like I had to actually like learn how to study like POV anthropology, and I never did. Like I never figured it out. I still haven't, but I was sitting there like I don't even know what to do. Like I don't know where to start. Like
it's intimidating. Figuring out how to start is the most intimidating part. But once you get in it, you can like do it. But it's just the like knowing you have to study and being like, I don't even know. There's just so much. I just can't. That's how I feel. That's the problem that I have.
So what I've tried to do, like if that is also you, what I try and do as best as I can is set myself up as like as well as I possibly can muster out during the semester, and to never bank on the final when I can. Sometimes there's classes like anthropology where you're just going through it.
You just gotta do it.
And eventually whatever happens. But like I try my absolute hardest to do well on every single assignment, because I remember after the first semester I was like looking at my grades and I realized that if I had just taken the time to like really dig into how to study, I would have had a 100 in pretty much every single class, because I got 100s on every single assignment, project, essay, like quiz, but I always did so awful in the exams that it brought my grade down like 20 points by the end of it.
Right.
And so I realized I was like, if I just figured out how to freaking study, or at least not fail my exams, I would have like insane grades. Like
Yes.
like they would be so good. And like it was better my second semester because I had a little bit more experience, and I also took a lot of classes that were just like writing based, and I'm a lot better at essays than I am exams.
Yeah.
But yeah, my piece of advice is to, I mean, as hard as it is, really try and set yourself up during the semester so that your final is more of just another exam versus the final.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
My piece of advice is that I think a lot of people choose to sacrifice sleep or food or rest or I don't know, things that you have to do to like be healthy and be well.
Mm-hmm.
They sacrifice those things to study. I think a lot of my friends that are engineers do that, and that is not sustainable nor beneficial for taking an exam. Like, your brain needs rest, your brain needs nutrients and fuel to be able to take an exam. And like, yes, grades are important in college, but they genuinely don't define you. Like, once you graduate,
no one cares.
Nobody gives a freak about your grades at all. Like, C's get degrees. Like, you do not need to not sleep for 3 days to study for an exam and then, like, you know, be unhealthy. Like, it's not worth it to do that. That's always been my philosophy. Like, school is not my life. Like, my grades are not my life, because that is just not how
it's not what you're going to do for the rest of your life.
Right. Like, what I get in a freaking stats class
does not. Well, that's why I just ended up not caring about anthropology, because I was like, obviously for me, because obviously, you know, I came from doing really well in high school that I was like, I have to do well in college. And I knew the whole like C's gets degree things, but there was like things that I wanted to do and be a part of that required me to have like a certain GPA or whatever. And so obviously I was like, okay, well, I can't just like get C's and everything, because there's a couple of things I want to do that just require me to have like a certain GPA. But like, it was really a world switch of like, getting an 80 is actually pretty impressive. Like, when I like was telling people, I was like, yeah, I took that accounting course over the summer and I finished the class with like a B+. They're like, a B+?
That's a miracle.
You finished a 5-week accounting course with a B+? And I was like, I know, like, it was only a B+, like,
girl.
And they're like, no, girl, like, that's impressive. And I was like, oh wait, like, it kind of is. Like, obviously I'm not trying to be like, yeah, I did that, like, you know, but like, I forget that, like, obviously I want to have a certain GPA for certain things, but it's not 4.0. They're not asking for perfection. They're just asking that you're putting an effort. Right. Because it's usually just like a 3.2 GPA. Right. And so usually you can get that by, I think, getting mainly C's and like B's. Yeah. Or something like that.
I feel like, you know, I immediately forget what I was going to say.
Yeah, I feel like that too.
What was I going to say? Yeah, I can't remember.
Okay, we can switch to Notes app if you want.
Okay, let's do it.
My Notes app thing is I freaking hate putting away laundry. We were talking about this earlier. I hate putting away laundry. I don't know what it is, but there are a few things in my life that I hate doing on the day-to-day. One of them is brushing my teeth. Brushing my teeth is so freaking boring. It takes literally 2 minutes, and I hate it. And every single day, I always have to do other things while I'm brushing my teeth because I'm so bored. Like, I hate brushing my teeth. And that's how I feel about putting away laundry, too. Like, I do it because I don't have the space to not put away my laundry. Right. I hate folding and putting away my laundry. Like, I would literally rather, like, I need to be one of those rich people who have, like, so many outfits that they can go, like, a month and a half without doing laundry. Because, like, if I was rich, I think something I would invest in is someone else to do my laundry. Like, I hate putting my clothes on hangers and putting them in drawers. It's so freaking annoying. It always makes my back hurt. My wrist always cramps because I have to sit down because I would never stand up and put away my laundry. Like, I don't hate myself that much.
I have way too many clothes to be doing all that.
I don't even have that many clothes either. I just, because I literally just do, like, a load of laundry, usually, like, once a week or, like, week and a half. So I'm only ever putting away, like, 10 pairs of everything. I hate it, and it makes me so angry.
I agree. Like, at home, I just, like, my mom's like, I'm going to get your room ready for you, but I just don't know what to do with all these clothes because there are generally, like, 8 baskets of clothes sitting around my room at home. Oop. And my room here is...
about the same?
Is also full, yes.
Yeah.
My Notes app thing is, how is it possible that we have still not cured the common cold? Hello? Why are there why are there so many medicines for the cold, but they don't ever
We've eliminated the
work?
Black Plague.
Right, and you can't eliminate the cold. Like, hello? Like,
the best we can do is Dayquil.
Right, the best. I'm on Mucinex. I'm on Alka-Seltzer. I have ibuprofen for my throat. Like, I'm, like, doing whatever I can.
And it doesn't even work that well.
No.
I don't know about you, but, like, NyQuil stopped working for me. Like, I had to take Dayquil and melatonin to go to bed at night because the Dayquil only somewhat worked. That's why I've switched to Mucinex. Yeah. It's because Mucinex is working for me right now because I can usually get through the exhaustion, the headache, whatever. It's just like the stuffy nose that I can't handle.
I can't deal with the scratchy throat. I can't sleep if I have a scratchy throat because all I can think about is how I have a scratchy throat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, that is such a good point. How are we still stuck on the common cold?
Like
we whipped up the cure for COVID in like a few months.
Right. Like
we couldn't put all our resources to just lock in on the cold.
Right.
Like, let's take a pause.
Right.
Let's not actually, because there's very important things. But like also like, can we allocate some time for the common cold?
And I feel like without fail, every year during exam season, I get sick.
Yes.
Like last year, obviously it was the stomach bug. I've shared that already.
I do remember.
And this year it's this.
Cold. Yeah.
And it's so annoying. I
can't.
And I like when I get a cold, it makes me like I low-key lose my appetite, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, I do
what?
Too.
No.
But then I also feel worse because I'm not eating, and I'm like hypoglycemic. So like if I don't eat, my blood pressure or sugar will drop faster, which I know is the most pick-me thing I could actually ever say in my whole life. But it's a thing. My doctor told me.
No, I understand. I feel that way too. I don't know. I'm just like actually so annoyed at being
laying
sick.
on the couch in fetal position when you were like, "Hey, are you like awake?" I was like, "I don't know."
I don't know.
Because I also was getting period cramps at the same day 1 period cramps or like day 2 or what, like the first round of it at the same time that like a wave of nausea hit me, and so I was literally just sitting on the couch like. And I was like rubbing my head, and I was like, "It's okay.
It's okay.
Everything's fine."
I love having to comfort myself.
I
great.
literally felt like I was rocking myself to sleep, and then I was like, "I just have to get through the day. I just have to get through
Real.
the day." And then I drank a coffee dated bagel, and I was like, "Okay,
wait,
like I'm back." Okay.
Wait, no, that was so. We got brunch yesterday, and we both got there, and we were like disassociated for at least 30 minutes, and like we were like both so grumpy.
Yeah.
And then they put the food in front of us, and all of a sudden we were like,
"Wait, what are you up to?" No, because I was like literally holding the table with both my hands to hold myself up.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't open my eyes. Like I had a headache that was like my entire head, and it was like the worst ones are when it's over your eyes. So I'm like, I can't look, I can't blink, I can't close my eyes, I can't like exist. So I was like, I just need to rock, and just hope. And then I ate, and then I was like, oh wait, wow, it actually went away. So
yeah,
life hack: eat when you're sick. That's weird.
Whoa, who would have thought?
I'm gonna try and chug water because from what I read on the internet, chugging water is one of the most from what I found from all my 18 different sources I looked at, all of them all said if you just drink a lot of water, it usually helps.
Yeah.
So
I like yesterday I had to go to work like Sunday evening.
Sure.
So I made it like a double cup of tea, and it was like the throat coat tea.
Throat coat, yeah.
And I chugged it on my way to work, and I was like, okay, I can do this. I can do this. And I made it through. So
yeah, I need to Google the healthiest amount of vitamin C in a liquid IV that I can take.
Like how much is possible?
Yeah, how much is like, and if it actually works, because I think I'm gonna make myself a little mocktail of orange juice, vitamin C, and liquid IV, and I'm just gonna start chugging that twice a day every day.
Well, Drew is always going on about the vitamin C stuff.
Emergency?
Yeah,
like he likes it.
He's like, it will cure you.
Oh, I'm gonna ask him about that in the office in a minute.
He has brought it up every single day for the past like 3 weeks.
Oh, I feel like he has an opinion about it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's weird. That guy.
Anyhow.
I love when I'm looking down the hallway and I can see his little head over the computer.
Hey. I always wave.
He's so
just
cute. He's so precious.
But yeah,
you know how it goes.
And what it goes with is to make sure you're following our Instagram at TWTS Pod, following our individual accounts as well. DM us if you have any questions, topics you want to hear about, people you want to be as guests, etc., etc., etc.
People you want to be as guests.
People you want to be as guests. Because we're here to tell you the truth.
Because they don't always get it right.
Bye. Guys.